I just tell the truth, and telling the truth is crazy in a world full of lies. If you mix brilliance with bravery, that we can ignite something. Even this conversation alone can ignite the people.
The time is now to express and for people to believe in themselves. The time is now for it to be okay to be great. People in this world shun people for being great, for being a bright color, for standing out. But the time is now to be okay to be the greatest you.
Hey guys, what's up? It's your girl Kelly back with another video. Real quick guys, we're going to get into a little thing here today, and I just want to start by saying if you are new here, please hit that subscribe button guys. I would really appreciate that if you would join the channel, and if you're into politics, news, true crime stories, and all of that good stuff, then you will have a good time and you will enjoy yourself. And if you are returning, then thank you for being a friend as always. And guys, go ahead and give me a follow on Twitter, y'all. I made a new Twitter. Okay, I just gave up my old one. You know, I said RIP to her. So we have a new Twitter. Check the handle in the thumbnail there, or you know, the screen, and just go follow, guys. Whatever. Let's have fun on Twitter. So let's get into a little thing that the government is trying to pass through. They're real sneaky, our government. You see, guys, they're a couple of sneaky sneaksters. Okay, they like to fox around and you know, just try to grab as many liberties as they can. So let's talk about it, guys. And if you don't know, let me know what you think after the video is done. You know, what are your thoughts on the Restrict Act that is currently in the House, or it's floating around the House and the Senate. It's in the process of being floated as a bill to be passed into law, and it's bad news, guys. So you probably, or you may have heard different opinions on the Restrict Act and what it is, what it will do. A lot of people are trying to say that this is like a banned TikTok app or whatever. I mean, a banned TikTok bill. So basically, like, you might get like your rhinos basically saying, "Oh, that China, they're so bad. We gotta stick it to China. Let's ban TikTok." Yeah, no. That's not at all what this thing does, and it's looking like, if anything, it's more a Patriot Act 2.0 on steroids. So let's get into it, guys, and we're going to talk about why the Restrict Act is horrible for our nation, and why you guys should reach out to your local senators, congresspeople, and strongly urge them to vote against and fight against any form of this bill. Because another thing that the government likes to do, you know, they're very sneaky, guys, is they will say, okay, you know, we're gonna dead this bill, we're not gonna pass this bill, you know, like, we got you, but then they'll come up with another thing, like they'll like, okay, no more Restrict Act, but you know what we're gonna do instead? We're gonna pass this you know, TikTok Freedom Act over here, and it's basically the exact same bill, but just a little bit of stuff changed around here and a little bit of stuff switched around there. So you need to be checking up on this, making sure that you know, our government is just they're sneaky, guys. You guys, y'all should know this by now. If you are watching the channel, you do. Okay, so let's get into first, what is the Patriot Act? If you're not familiar with this bill, it was passed after 9/11. Total psyop to begin with. First of all, this thing was written in the 90s, okay, act, but Ron Paul was the original OG to say, look guys, y'all need to wake the F up and see that your government is trying to strip you of all your freedoms. And people were just so jazzed up by 9/11 and George Bush going down to stand on the rubble with an American flag in his hand and a firefighter helmet on his head, that people just, you know, were like, whatever, just pass whatever you want. So let's get into what is the Patriot Act. We're going to watch a quick video, read a quick article, and then we'll get into the Restrict Act and why we need to put a stop to it.
Agency's collection of American phone records in bulk is illegal. Specifically, they ruled that the practice did not fall under the scope of the USA Patriot Act, which allows wiretapping of individuals to detect and prevent terrorism.
Okay, so that's number one. It allows wiretapping of individuals without a warrant. The Patriot Act does, and they did this all under the guise of we got to stop those Saudi Arabian terrorists, even though they weren't the ones that did 9/11. But that's a different video.
So what is the USA Patriot Act? Well, the USA Patriot Act is a 10-letter acronym for the Uniting and Strengthening America by Providing appropriate tools required to intercept and obstruct terrorism Act of 2001. It was passed swiftly by Congress following the terrorist attacks of September 11th and signed into law by George W. Bush in 2001. Later, when it was set to
being the key word there, very swiftly, like 40-something days after 9/11. So they had this thing on deck. They were ready to pass it. They wanted to pass it really whenever the Oklahoma City bombings happened, but it didn't have enough support back then. So they were like, well, you know, that didn't work. You know, we did this whole bombing in Oklahoma City. We blamed it on this guy, allegedly. You know, this is all just a dream that I had. You know, none of this is real. And then so they were like, well, this didn't work. You know, we put this guy away. We gave him the death penalty, the needle, and, you know, we did the bombing. And then now let's think big. Let's go, you know, let's go next level. So that's when 9/11 happened, and Patriot Act passed, check, boom, now they got your freedoms.
to expire in 2011, Barack Obama renewed the law for another 4 years.
Really?
The Patriot Act has been the subject of intense controversy. Although it was intended to prevent terrorist attacks, it has been accused of infringing on basic American civil liberties.
No.
It allows any law enforcement officials to skirt a U.S. citizen's Fourth Amendment protections against unreasonable search and seizure.
Oh my God.
The Patriot Act grants agencies like the FBI sweeping surveillance power over cell phone data.
Oh my God. The FBI doing illegal, weird spying shit on its own citizens? This is crazy.
Internet search histories, medical histories, library records, and any tangible thing for suspected terrorists.
When your library records aren't even safe in this country, where do you go? Where do you even go?
Critics note that because intelligence can be gathered secretly with little oversight, officials can easily abuse their power and falsely charge innocent people. The Patriot Act also allows for the indefinite detention of anyone, even non-U.S. citizens, without probable cause. The New York court recently ruled against the NSA's mass phone surveillance program because the judges said it would be an unprecedented contraction of the privacy expectations of all Americans. Yet they also made it clear that if they wanted, Congress would absolutely be able to legalize the NSA's actions by passing new laws to that effect. However, they would not be able to use the Patriot Act in its current form to continue justifying the mass surveillance. The USA Patriot Act is set to expire in June 2015, and Congress is already discussing its renewal. Despite massive opposition from numerous public figures, including senators, celebrities, and whistleblowers like Edward Snowden, President Obama has continued his support for the program. He maintains that...
Wow. Obama? Really? So it's almost like they are, all just working for the same cause. Started by George W. Bush, Obama, whole different ideology, whole different viewpoint, totally opposite, supposedly, from George W. Bush. Supposed to be this, Democrat, supposed to be this, for the people, semi-progressive, and he still wants to be able to spy on you guys. So what's up with that, Obama? What's up with that, my guy?
That there is suitable oversight to potential privacy abuses and that the program has had proven results against terrorist violence.
Really?
NSA surveillance will continue to be a greatly divisive issue as the population continues to increase its digital footprint. If you're curious to dive deeper into why the NSA became the closest thing to Big Brother that the world has ever seen, check out our video here. So what happened?
Well, my God. Okay, so if you're curious, guys, this will be linked in the description. So obviously we know this. We know this about the NSA. They are spying on us, and they are always looking for new ways to get into your business and try to figure out how they can control you. So, they mentioned in 2015 there was this little thing that happened where basically one section of the Patriot Act was going to expire. And what did that have to deal with? Well, it had to deal with web history snooping, right? So the Senate, as it would happen, guys, just a funny thing about politics, and what goes on. It did end up passing. So this article is from 2020, and about how the original rules expired in March, but the Senate came up with a new bill, guys. They were told you cannot do it with the U.S. Patriot Act, Well, they were up to the challenge, guys. So basically, the USA Freedom Reauthorization Act restores government powers that expired in March. And while the Senate adopted an amendment to expand oversight, wow, it shot down a proposal that would have restricted warrantless collection of internet search and web browsing data. So they said, we still want to look at your internet history and your data, but we'll put more oversight measures into place. Well, who actually manages those oversight proceedings? Oh, you guys, y'all do that too? Okay, I see what's going on here. Okay, all right, perfect. So, the USA Freedom Reauthorization Act lets law enforcement collect tangible things, in quotation marks, related to national security investigations without a warrant, requiring only approval from a secret court that has reportedly rubber-stamped many requests. It passed the House of Representatives, but stalled in the Senate during the coronavirus pandemic. And the senators approved it with 80 votes for and 16 votes against. So, and this was during President Trump's administration. So, thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, sir. We love you, but you have your faults, sir. You do. So, no good here. No good. They keep on encroaching. This has been a slow march, again, all the way back from the 90s. Okay, and what exactly are some other things that the Patriot Act did? Okay, so this article is from Fox News. The Patriot Act has a bad pedigree and an evil history. In the fearful days immediately following 9/11, the DOJ quickly sent draft legislation to Congress that, if enacted, would have permitted federal agents to violate their oaths to uphold the Constitution by writing their own search warrants. The draft subsequently was revealed to have been written before 9/11, but that's another story, and I just told it to you guys. But it's an interesting one. Okay, so the House Judiciary Committee reviewed the legislation and revised it so that it would meet Fourth Amendment norms. Well, isn't that just nice of them? They did, that was one for us, guys, and they did that for you. Okay, so the revised version permitted federal agents to write their own search warrants for business records, but the warrants could be challenged by the custodian of the records or by the person whose records were being sought. Okay, so because the records were in the hands of a third party, they were in no danger of destruction. Wow. What a guy. Okay, so the Fourth Amendment was written largely to assure that the general warrants British soldiers used to search the colonists' home would never be lawful in the United States. General warrants were issued by secret courts in London based on the government's needs, not on evidence of wrongdoing. They authorized the bearer to search wherever he wished and seize whatever he found. So this is so important, guys. This is like one of the rights that we don't talk about as much, but it is one of the most important in my opinion, because the way warrants work now, specifically in criminal cases, I guess, because this is a whole different can of worms. If they suspect you of doing any sort of terrorism, and nowadays that can be, simply standing outside of an abortion clinic and protest, that sort of thing. If they suspect you of doing any sort of government opposition or terrorist activity, they can write a general warrant and go into your house without any knowledge or proof of a crime having been committed, and they can search for whatever it is that they're going to find. And they may find nothing if you're not doing anything, and then they're just going to look like big dum-dums, and they might issue an apology, they might not. And then or they might be able to find a lot of things. And even though you had not provably committed a crime on paper, where they could prove it and then take that to a judge, the judge would have to sign off on it, and then they would conduct the warrant. It would be basically backwards. So they would basically be able to write their own warrants, execute those warrants. If they found a crime, then they could take that to court and say, oh, looky here, we had a feeling this person committed a crime, and aha, we were right. It's so important, guys. It really is. Because this goes back to basically they can target you for any reason that they want to. And you might not have a problem with that today, but I promise you, when the wrong people get the, power in this country, somebody that you might have a problem with, it comes back around, guys. So, you know, the funny thing about freedom is we have to fight for it across all spectrums. So whether it be a Republican, a Libertarian, a Democrat, even like, you know, a transgender person, okay, they should still have equal rights. We're all equal human beings. It's not to say, you know, that they should be able to do whatever the hell they want, and we should still be able to pass laws to prevent them hurting themselves or others, but they should be allowed basic human rights. Everyone should be in this country. That's the way it was kind of set up. So if we don't fight for everyone's freedoms and we just, you know, point and laugh when it's the other guy who's in the hot seat and getting, you know, their house searched, their property seized, and them thrown into jail cells for fucked up and bogus reasons, then I promise you, your day of reckoning will come. So, okay, so basically, it goes on to say that in order to protect the natural right to be left alone, privacy, the framers enacted standards in the Fourth Amendment that require the government to produce evidence, crazy thing, about the person whose record it wants, called probable cause, and present that evidence to a judge when it wants a search warrant, okay? So, beautiful thing there. Cannot let that go by the wayside, cannot ignore it, cannot just allow for exceptions because it is happening to someone we hate or we don't like. We have to fight for it unequivocally, like absolutely. And if you don't feel the same way, then you're un-American and you should leave, okay? Just saying. Okay. So after the House Judiciary Committee took all of this into account in its redrafting of the proposed Patriot Act, the House Republican leadership and George W. Bush pulled a fast one. They switched the painstakingly negotiated version of the Patriot Act for the original version and posted the original version on the House intranet, and leadership scheduled a vote within the hour of posting. Oh, those little sneaky fox. I told you guys about these people. I told y'all. They're very sneaky. It is safe to say that no member of the House read the Patriot Act in that hour. It takes about 20 hours to read, as it is hundreds of pages in length, and it amends dozens of prior statutes that must also be read. So they pulled a fast one, guys, and basically the Patriot Act was enacted after 9/11. It has since been renewed, I think twice at least, and they'll try every now and then to speak out against it and say, you know, like, oh, we're going to get rid of this section, like section 215, right, which had to do with like web data and browser history and things like that. But then they will go back and stick that little, you know, section back into another bill. They'll wedge it in somewhere, and then it'll get passed under a different name, and then boom, they have what they always had and what they always wanted. So it's just, you know, it's a very sick game that they're playing up there in Washington, D.C., and I think we should all be aware, and we should all be holding these people to account. If you care about your freedom, and if you care about your privacy, and if you care about the privacy and freedoms and, you know, just happiness of your future children and generations, then you might want to start paying attention. Just saying, guys. So I'm going to link this article as well. This has a lot of other good information on the Patriot Act, but now I want to get into the Restrict Act, guys. So let's see, what does the Restrict Act actually do? Well, the critics of this are calling the far-reaching TikTok ban bill a Patriot Act 2.0. And it has drawn criticism from both left and right. Privacy experts say it legalizes unprecedented surveillance. Wow. So let's see what we got here, guys. So the first off, let's be clear, the TikTok bill does not actually ban TikTok. The word TikTok does not appear once in the bill's 55 pages. But critics on the left and right are now sounding the alarm in rare alignment, calling the measure a Patriot Act 2.0, which opens the door to unprecedented digital surveillance of Americans and gives an appointed executive panel unchecked power to censor the internet in the U.S. And you might say to me, oh, Kelly, they're already censoring the internet, aren't they? Correct, they are. This would give unchecked and unprecedented power to an appointed, not elected, executive panel. Totally different ballgame, guys. If you thought Twitter and the censorship on social media was bad during the pandemic, hold on to your butts, because this is going to be a wild ride. So the measure is temporarily stalled, but digital rights advocacy group Electric Frontier Foundation issued a sober rebuke of the legislation Thursday, saying the measure fails to protect private users' information. And they were quoted as saying, due to undefined mitigation measures coupled with a vague enforcement provision, the bill could criminalize common practices like using a VPN or side-loading to install a prohibited app. There are legitimate data privacy concerns about social media platforms, but this bill is a distraction from real progress on privacy. Yeah, it's more than a distraction. It's an infringement, okay? So it doesn't require the executive branch to justify its restrictions on expressive technologies like TikTok and limits lawsuit challenges to those restrictions. And the EFF condemned the bill's potential threats to free speech. Instead of passing this broad and overreaching bill, Congress should limit the opportunities for any company to collect massive amounts of our detailed personal data, which is then made available to data brokers, U.S. government agencies, and even foreign adversaries, China included. So the bill's primary sponsors, Senator John Thune, can you come up to the podium, please? And we have Senator Mark Warner. They don't see it that way. Well, of course they don't, because they're a couple of losers. So, again, this is another long article, guys. I don't want to bore you guys with the technical mumbo-jumbo. Basically, I'm going to scroll down to some of the different sections and what they are going to do. So these are the highlights, and highlights is we're using that loosely, that have already led to serious dissent, okay? Sections 2 and 8, appointed censors. So, the segment's about covered transactions. That little phrase is the fulcrum on which the entire bill hinges. Here it's defined as any merger, acquisition, or takeover that is proposed, pending, or completed on or after the date of enactment of this act, if the committee determines that the covered transaction involves a substantial interest in critical infrastructure, critical technology, or critical data of such person. Committee means the Committee on Foreign Investment, which would be appointed by the president, okay, and by statute would include the Secretary of Commerce, the Attorney General, the Defense Secretary, and the head of Homeland Security. What a group there. They would have enormous discretion to decide what a substantial interest is in critical infrastructure, technology, or data, meaning they can do whatever it is they think they want to do, okay, based on what their policies are, what their politics are, and who they hate. So in Section 8, enormous power is vested, put into this new panel, and the Secretary of Commerce, with an even more concerning caveat: there's not much meaning judicial review here compared to the power committee has to unwind or shut down those covered transactions. Sections 5, 12, and 10, few judicial checks, lots of surveillance, okay? So it could limit the ability to challenge the panel in court by itself. FOIA and public records access laws could be hamstrung here. The same concerns show up in Section 11 and 12. Okay, so under this act shall not be subject to administrative review or judicial review in any federal court, okay? Section 10 would also let the Attorney General impose requirements on covered entities to provide technical assistance to the government for, you guessed it, surveillance purposes, again with no judicial review. Section 6, gag orders, secret FISA court proceedings, public information blackouts, and special administrative exemptions. If that all sounds familiar from the post 9/11 era, you'll get where this is going. If you happen to know a first-year law student, have them read this and watch how wide their eyes get. If a civil action challenging an action or finding under this act is brought, and the court determines that protected information in the administrative record, including classified or other information subject to privileged protections under any provision of law, is necessary to resolve the action, that information shall be submitted ex parte and in camera to the court, and the court shall maintain that information under seal. So, meaning that if you bring a civil suit and try to basically prevent information that you deem to be protected, or that you are trying to get that the government deems to be protected, well, the court, this like special appointed panel of VIPs, okay, they can basically overrule whatever it is you say and that you are alleging any wrongdoings, and they can tell you basically to kick rocks, and they're going to take that information, or they're going to maintain that information under seal, and you don't really have a say-so in the matter. So, in other words, evidence about a person could potentially be used against that person without them even knowing about it. So much for due process. Okay, guys, so let's see what this woke, whatever, pink-haired freak is saying about it. You know, we'll give her a chance, okay? This is from the ACLU, reposted this. Let's see. I've not watched this, so this might be ultra cringe, but let's see what they say.
Congress is trying to ban TikTok, and it is worse than you think. Here's what you need to know.
Let's see it.
Tomorrow, Congress will consider a bill that effectively bans TikTok for people in the U.S., and the way that they're planning to do it will undermine our First Amendment rights for years to come. Quietly introduced by Texas Congressman Michael McCall over the weekend, the law would forbid U.S. citizens from engaging with entities that may transfer sensitive personal data to a foreign entity that is subject to the influence of China, effectively banning TikTok and many other foreign businesses. It would also gut the Berman Amendment, which was passed in 1988 to protect our right to receive information, regardless of what country that information was created in. It's what keeps the U.S. government from banning a book by a Chinese author simply because it's from China. And in this case, it means that you can't ban a social media app simply because the app is from a Chinese company. Whether it's sharing cat videos, discussing spy balloons, or watching this video right now, the First Amendment guarantees your right to express yourself both online and off.
Okay, wow. We're, you know, that was all over the place, but okay. Yeah, you know, thank you for your commentary. Thank you for your input. Okay, we will take that and we'll put it in our pocket, and you know, we'll do what we got to do. So let's see if there's any other videos we want to watch here. Let's watch Josh Hawley, I guess. Okay, he has another bill that, you know, that he's trying to do something similar with. You know, I don't think he's trying to do as nefarious as you know, spying basically tactics as this other act, but Rand Paul came out against this and basically said that, you know, Republicans need to let this go, and I agree with him. Like, there's no point in banning TikTok. There will be another app tomorrow that does the exact same thing. Like, what are we doing? What are we doing? They are so good at wasting everyone's fucking time and everyone's money. Okay, how about y'all do something useful for once? So let's, I guess, listen to Josh Hawley, because now I just pissed myself off.
Is we should act decisively to ban TikTok directly.
Absolutely.
We shouldn't give new open-ended authority to federal bureaucrats. We should target this threat specifically.
Girl.
That's what this bill does that we have before us today. It goes right at the problem.
Wow.
It bans TikTok in this country. It protects the American people, and it sends the message to communist China that you cannot buy us.
Okay, well, I appreciate that. You know, you putting forth a simplistic bill that doesn't try to jam through a bunch of hidden legislation and corrupt, basically, little nuggets of power for the government to then be able to dig up at their leisure. I appreciate that, but there's no point. It's still a waste of time, okay? The last thing I want to get into, because this is kind of like a niche subject, but it's so important, guys. I really hope you will call your own congresspeople, senators, congressmen, and just let them know how you feel. It goes a long way, guys. There are many times that I've called my, individual senators and congressmen, and you can make your, it gives yourself a little bit of a good feeling too, because you feel like you get it off your chest, all the frustration, all the pent up, anger you might feel towards what your government does to you or for you or against you. Just let it be known. Let it be known. Say, you know what? I'm going to vote your ass out if you don't put an end to this Restrict Act. And just remember, they work for you. So let's get into this video from Jesse Waters, and let's see what him and AOC actually agree on.
But AOC's gut feeling was right this time, because my producers just went through the TikTok bill, all 55 pages, and it looks like the PATRIOT Act for the internet. And if you remember, the PATRIOT Act was used and abused by the government. They said it was to fight terror after 9/11, which it did, but they also ended up fighting us with it. The Ban TikTok Act, they call it the Restrict Act, cute, gives the government the power to, quote, review and prohibit certain transactions between persons in the United States and foreign adversaries. So not only no more mail-order brides, that means the government has the power to, quote, enforce any mitigation measure to address any risk arising from any covered transaction by any person or with any respect to any property subject to the jurisdiction of the United States that the Secretary determines. Translation: the federal government wants to watch anything you do on the internet.
Well, of course.
And I mean anything, any transaction, any search, any click, any scroll. The government can just say, Jesse may be involved with the Chinese. Let's take a look at his computer and iPhone. The government doesn't even need a reason. They can just make one up like they did with the Russia hoax. You want to know what a red flag is? The bill doesn't even say the word TikTok. And Congress is cut out. The courts cut out. The White House gets to decide what they want to look at and why. So
Yikes.
if you're
not a dictatorship
on an app on your phone, or if you're just clicking through a website, maybe it's a foreign website, maybe it's not. How do you even know? The government doesn't need to know it's foreign. They can just want to know if it's foreign. And then it's open season on your search history. Do you want the Biden administration to go through your phone? Because that's what this bill does. They don't even need probable cause. This is a legal search and seizure. And then you go on the spy list, where they have the power to, quote, ready? Inspect, search, detain, and seize any of your records and information.
Oh my God.
That means your banking records, your photos. Without any evidence, you committed a crime.
Wow.
They can even break into your Ring doorbell, or your Xbox, or your Amazon Alexa.
Oh my God.
Alexa, am I being spied on? Yes. Here's the best part. You're not allowed to challenge it. On the last sentence, there's a little footnote, and it says you can't file a Freedom of Information Act request about it.
Oof.
And then on another footnote, it says these powers can't be reviewed by the court.
Oh no.
But the government can release what they want about you. Oh, Jesse called me Sleepy Joe again? That's it. Hey, New York Times, here's Jesse's search history going back 10 years.
Oh my God.
So don't go to the wrong website, or don't make the White House angry, because you can even go to prison for up to 20 years for violating the statute. Now, we don't like TikTok. We don't want TikTok because the Chinese use it to spy on us and rewire our brains. But we don't want the government spying on us either.
And, guys, again, this goes back to like our idiotic government trying to put bans on certain things and trying to, more laws. It's absolutely asinine at the end of the day, because guess what? Criminals don't follow laws, and you cannot force people to do what they don't want to do. Okay, at the end of the day, a strong-willed, strong-minded person, free person in this still somewhat free country that we have here, that is on the very brink of being lost, you cannot shove this down someone's throat. Okay, instead of us all getting together as a country and coming together, this is just a novel idea that I had, and why don't we try to shift the culture? Why don't we try to change hearts and minds to become more moral people, to get families to stay together? Why don't we encourage parents to actually raise their kids? Why don't we discourage degenerate behavior? Have a little shame brought back into the culture. Let's, define what is good and what is bad, what is beautiful and what is ugly. We used to have a good grasp on this, but we've lost it so completely that now all we get is laws and more laws and fines and regulations and crooked politicians that don't ever get anything accomplished and don't ever do shit. They only make it worse. They only make your frame of mind, your quality of life, and your outlook on the future of the country and your future worse and bleak. So it's just a little thought that I keep having that, you know, instead of us focusing so much on what the government can do for, you know, to create the next big law to ban the next thing that they perceive as a threat, like guns or TikTok, why don't we start encouraging people to maybe go back to church, or maybe encourage people to you know, have more babies. Like, why not let's pass a baby tax break or something like that. Encourage people to stay together instead of encouraging sexual freedom and divorce. You know, just an idea. Just y'all let me know what y'all think about it. And he's about to go in on Lindsey Graham, so I'm going to fast forward it to that part. I will link this video so you guys can see the rest. It's a great video. I want to see him. Oh, well, it's about to get to that part. So
the United States Senate just say we're going to protect you from China by spying on you. Let's try to get some answers out of the Senator Lindsey Graham, who supports this and is here now. You got to be kidding me, Senator. Did you read this?
Yeah, I don't think I support the Restrict Act.
I don't think I support this. You go any way the wind blows, okay? You are so flimsy and empty-suited that I think that you could be pushed down with a feather, sir. You make me so sick that I don't even understand how it is you keep getting reelected over and over again. What are y'all doing out there, guys? I believe, where is he from? South Carolina? Or, you know, I think it's South Carolina. I don't know. If Lindsey Graham is your senator, get your life together, okay? Somebody primary this old fart. I swear to God. Like, and literally, if Jesse Waters farted from his studio there in New York City, he'd probably blow Lindsey Graham away, all the way in Washington, D.C. That's how flimsy this turd is, okay? So let's see what he has to say for himself, because he actually did promote, and he did support the Restrict Act, but now that Jesse's up here on this TV completely wrecking and tearing apart this act, he's had a change of heart, guys.
You don't support this because you were named as one of the supporters, because this is garbage.
Well, is this the one with John? There's two bills out there. One allows a review of businesses that are connected to China, give the Secretary the ability to protect our data.
South Carolina.
Is that the Restrict Act?
Girl, you should know. Is this not your job? What do you do for a living?
We got S686.
Good God.
Right here, March 7th. Mm-hmm. And we got a bunch of Republicans supporting it, because this thing is crazy town. You don't want the government looking into your private phone.
No, I don't.
If they have a hunch you're colluding with the Russians, we remember how that turned out.
Right. Yeah, no, well, the Constitution trumps a statute, so let me come back and, give you a better explanation. Here's the problem as I see it. China is the parent company of TikTok, and my nieces like TikTok. I don't mind them using TikTok. I just don't want the Chinese government to seize all their data and manipulate the information America sees for political purposes. China is helping drug cartels in Mexico. China is not a friend. Chinese espionage is an all-time high against America.
You know what? You probably lick Xi Jinping's asshole if he gave you $1 million in campaign funds. So I really just don't. I don't think I believe you. I don't think I believe a word you say. So yeah, okay, great. Maybe if we had a strong leader, like an actual president, and not just a dementia patient with a chip in his brain, or a shot of adrenaline every day that he has to wake up and drag his feet up onto the stage and deliver half-assed remarks. Maybe if we had a real leader, maybe China wouldn't, they wouldn't have the opportunity to do all that they have been doing to rape our country and to basically steal and, replace us on the world stage and, you know, become the power that they've become. You know, you can't really be mad at China. We have to look within, guys. It's called accountability, and I'm calling for it here today from our leaders, from ourselves, and from our country. What do you guys think about all this? Can y'all please let me know in the comments? I would greatly love to hear your opinions on the matter. And yeah, guys, we just it's so important that we not only put a stop to this, but we need to we got to have better solutions here, because this ain't it. The government, they are not it. You know, they can barely understand what bills it is that they support. Okay, that is what our government looks like. Okay, Lindsey Graham, this face, clueless. Okay, so y'all let me know. Like the video if you liked it. You know, follow me on Twitter, guys. Go check out my Twitter. It's still new, so it's not, you know, we're gonna get it back to our original you know, funny keck feed, but just trust me. Go there. Go to Twitter and subscribe to the channel. I love you guys. Thank you so much. Until next time, I will see y'all later. Okay, bye.
I just tell the truth, and telling the truth is crazy in a world full of lies. If you mix brilliance with bravery, that we can ignite something. Even this conversation alone can ignite the people.
The time is now to express and for people to believe in themselves. The time is now for it to be okay to be great. People in this world shun people for being great, for being a bright color, for standing out. But the time is now to be okay to be the greatest you.